Hi, I'm Nicole Kemper. I'm a writer, actor, and filmmaker living in Atlanta, Georgia. This is 50 Foot Woman, and I've committed to shooting at least one roll of motion picture film per month. I have been shooting a lot of film, especially over the summer. Just lots of little family trips and stuff, and taking my cameras with me. I've actually got a backlog of film right now that I need to send off for developing, including some test rolls that I did on my Bell & Howell 70DR 16mm camera. So looking forward to seeing how that turns out when it gets back from the lab. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to talk about the Fisher-Price Movie Viewer Theater, which was a child's toy that was manufactured between 1977 and 1985, like me. What does a child's toy have to do with Super 8 filmmaking, you might ask? Well, it does have some kind of relationship. You might even think about it as like a gateway drug to the love of Super 8 for a toddler or school-aged child from the mid-70s to mid-80s. The Fisher-Price Movie Viewer Theater was preceded by the Fisher-Price Movie Viewer, which was more of a handheld device that came out in 1973, and they were both for sale at the same time. Of course, the Movie Viewer Theater came second. It was more of like an expanded version of the movie viewer. Both came with these plastic cartridges, and inside of this plastic cartridge is a very short Super 8 film on a loop. So you could buy these cartridges for your child, and they could get the experience of running the cartridge through the movie viewer, hand cranking it and looking up into a light to view the film inside. Or you could put the cartridge in the movie viewer theater and actually watch it on a little screen or project it on the wall. So we were fortunate to have one of these bad boys growing up, and I hadn't actually thought about it in a while. One of my coworkers who knows about my love of all things vintage camera was talking to me about Viewmasters, which is another toy that a lot of us had growing up. And as we were discussing that, I kind of had this like flashback to this particular kid's toy, and I hadn't thought about it in years, but it was something that my younger sister and I really loved. Like, we loved this toy. We actually used to kind of fight about who got to use it. We each had our favorite movies that we liked to watch on it. And it was kind of like the coveted job was to be the one who got to crank the movie and choose the speed and decide which cartridge you got to put in. And usually we watched it on the screen, but if you had a group of friends over, you might go into the bathroom, turn off the lights, and turn it into projection mode so that you could have your own movie viewing experience. So the cartridge goes right here on the side. And when you turn it on, the screen sort of lights up with a display. There is a little a knob over here where you can kind of focus the screen, and then of course you crank it sort of away from you to go forward. And I'm sure you can't really see what's going on in this wider shot that I'm doing right now, but I will do some close-ups so you can get it a little bit better. And then you crank away from yourself to play it forward. Oh, that sound, the nostalgia. If you crank it towards you, you can actually reverse the film, which was really fun. It was a fun way to kind of mess with your friends if you were trying to play the movie, and then you just kind of reverse it right in the middle. Ugh, I don't get tired of it. It's so fun, you guys. There is a bulb in there. I'm not exactly sure what kind of bulb it is. I'm going to try to find another one, so if this one burns out, that I will not, that I'll still be able to use this. And then this little knob over here changes it, and you can see the light coming through, changes it from the viewing screen to a projection mode. So the Fisher-Price Movie Viewer Theater, the films are silent. A lot of them have little words at the bottom to give you like dialogue and things and descriptions and things like that. They had various different character kind of cartoon, mostly cartoons, but a little bit of live action. So amongst the offerings there were, and I actually, this is not the one that I grew up with. Sadly, my mom doesn't have it anymore. But I was able to get this, on eBay pretty cheaply, and it came with a bunch of cartridges that are in very good condition. Some of the cartridges it came with, and this is not comprehensive, there are way more out there than this, but it was a pretty good mix. So we've got, Mickey Mouse and the Giant, which, we had this one. Sylvester and Tweety, Bugs Bunny in the Lion's Den, Pink Panther, so that's a good one. Roadrunner in Zippin' Along. Big Bird's Birthday Party. We had this one. I think this was one of my favorites. Pinocchio, one of my favorite movies growing up. Donald Duck's Toy Train. And Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day. So there were a lot of Sesame Street ones, a lot of Looney Tunes, and Disney, a couple of Disney ones. I remember, those of you guys that are in my demographic may remember a Gummy Bears cartoon television show. I remember having one of those. That did not come in this pile of cartridges. But essentially it was a lot of kind of whatever the popular kids entertainment was at the time. And all of the cartoons were kind of like most Super 8 offerings, cut down versions of a larger piece. So why dig this out of my the back of my nostalgia closet? Well, I just thought it was really interesting that growing up, I had no concept of what was inside of these cartridges. But I loved them, and I loved cranking them. I loved the projection, and I just think it's really cool that there was this toy that kind of allowed kids to have like a safe and easy way to project their own film. And this is, of course, not really the kind of toy that you would have today, but they do have similar kinds of like digital versions of this for kids to play with today. So I guess I didn't realize that maybe this was my entry point into my love of Super 8, and it was kind of there in the back of my childhood all along, and I didn't even realize it. So what am I going to do with these? Obviously, it's kind of fun to have them just for the nostalgia value. I did kind of go through all of them and look at them. They're in pretty good condition. There's a little bit of color shifting, but that's to be expected. It's hard to say how these were stored, but they are all intact. I did think that it would be an interesting experiment to maybe get maybe some. I don't want to open up any of these because I'd like to keep them, but if I buy another lot to get some other ones that I don't have, maybe I can get my hands on that Gummy Bears cartoon. I remember watching that a lot. If I can get another lot and maybe there's some duplicates and maybe there's one in there that's not, maybe the tape is in really good condition, the cartridge is in good condition, but not the film, I thought it would be kind of cool to open one up and maybe reload it with my own film. So obviously we would have to put a reversal stock in here, and I'd have to kind of figure out how it's kind of wrapped in here. I did find a blog article that somebody had written about taking them apart and loading them with your own film. It wasn't like super detailed, but there were some good tips in there. So of course it is a continuous loop. So the film does have to be spliced to be on a continuous loop. But I think it could be possible to take this apart very carefully and reload it with your own film. And I think that could be a fun little project. And so who knows where that might take me. But I think that might be something I might do in the future, just as a fun little side project. I've also thought about the possibility of maybe 3D printing one of these. My husband has a 3D printer, and he's been 3D printing us a lot of stuff. We've never tried to like create our own object, so that might be a new thing, but I think that's something that's also on the table. Anyway, it would require a little bit of tinkering, but that also might be kind of fun, trying to figure out how to replicate one of these in a way that works in the movie theater viewer. Okay, so that's all for today's video. I just a fun little piece of history, maybe a forgotten piece of Super 8 history. These things, if you're interested, are plentiful on eBay if you're looking to get your hands on one. I like to think of myself as perhaps at this point becoming somewhat of a Super 8 or 8mm, even kind of historian in a way. I'm not a historian, but maybe somebody who's trying to preserve some of these things that might otherwise be thrown away. Or just kind of disappear. I think it's cool to try to collect some of this stuff and, put it to use and just keep it in good condition. I don't know how long these films are going to be good, but it's pretty surprising that something that was probably developed in the mid 1970s, that I can pop it in to this movie viewer today, and even if there's a little bit of color shifting, still watch it just like I did back in the early 1980s. Thanks for watching. If you are interested in motion picture film, Super 8, 16mm, vintage cameras, I hope that you'll stick around and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. My channel is called Critical Crop Top Films. That's my production company, and all of the videos for this series are in the 50-Foot Woman playlist. Well, it's finally cooling off in Atlanta as we head into fall. Hope that you're able to get out with your camera this fall, go to some festivals, shoot the leaves turning, whatever it is that's going to inspire you. Maybe go into your mom's basement and dig up some old toys from your childhood and get out there and shoot more film, you guys.